Hi foodies, thanks for joining me. So for this breakfast, I did start off by making the dumplings. I have flour and salt in there, and then I'm adding fine cornmeal along with some oats flour. This is the oats flour right here. All I did was to put some quick oats into the blender. That's it. All right. And usually I make just plain flour dumplings, but the cornmeal and the oats, it's just gonna make the dumplings a little more dense, a little more filling. Does add a little more nutritive value to the dumplings, you know what I mean? So go ahead and just mix that. You can use a whisk or a spoon or your hands. Then add water the same way you would make a regular flour dumpling. All right, so you just add a little water at a time and just knead it into a ball. And of course, there's no rule that says you can't just go ahead and make the dumpling right after you knead it. But I like to let it rest because once that dough is relaxed, it's easier to handle. So cover it up, rest it for about half an hour if you have the time, right? And if you don't have the time, you could do about 15 minutes. But that was sitting for 30 minutes. And now you just make the dumplings. You're folding the dough into itself and just rolling it into a ball, and then you flatten it slightly. That's it. I have posted a video on how to shape these already, so you can definitely check that out if you haven't yet. So these are good to go. And then you just boil these for about 15 to 20 minutes depending on how large they are and how tender you want them to be. Alright, so go ahead and add them to boiling water. And these are usually done when they start to float, but you can do about 15 to 20 minutes. All right. What I like about adding oats to the dumpling is, of course, aside from it being very filling, you do get a little bit more of a texture to it than the plain, flour dumpling texture that you used to. So I do enjoy that. And then for the mackerel, this is just tin mackerel, all right? I have coconut oil in the pan, and then I'm gonna cook onions and bell peppers. You can dice them if you prefer, but I cut them in some strips. Just want to move these around in the pan, allow them to cook a little bit, and then once they get really fragrant, then you're gonna add some minced garlic. Go ahead and stir that in until it is fragrant as well. And you don't want to cook the veggies until they are completely mushy. Okay? Then I'm going in with Jack Mackerel. Jack Mackerel isn't my favorite. I prefer the regular canned mackerel, but this is what I had in the pantry and I want to use it up. Okay? So I did cut it up into chunks. All right? Because usually you get, the larger pieces of fish, right? But I wanted to cut it up into chunks, and then I added some chunks of tomato. This I should have added with the onion, but I completely forgot about it. Then in goes some scallion and thyme leaves, fresh thyme, of course. And we will be adding black pepper, can't leave out that. Also some ketchup. And you know what? Some people tend to ask, why do you guys like to add ketchup? It's mackerel in tomato sauce. But the ketchup just adds something to it. If you don't like it, leave it out. All right. So add the pepper, add the ketchup, right? And then we can put a lid on this and allow everything to just cook together. You want the flavors to just mesh together. You want the mackerel to absorb all of that. So put on the lid for about 3 minutes, and that's good. Of course, you can add Scotch bonnet if you want to. Okay, so here we go. Dumplings are ready. All right, and you just serve that up with your mackerel. I did some fried plantain last minute. This was delicious. Let me know if you try this cornmeal and oats dumpling.